Honestly, how do you expect to feed another human if you're not even feeding yourself? You have to feed yourself. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be about all things breastfeeding. So as most moms know, we are in the middle of a formula crisis. There's a shortage on formula in the US. Well, I say in the US, probably other places too. I'm just only familiar with the formula shortage in the US, but we're not here to ramble on about formula today. We are here to talk about how to increase your breast milk supply, as well as how to relactate once you have stopped breastfeeding. So yeah, I'm not gonna ramble too much, but I am on my second child. My first child was born a preemie, so I did exclusively pump for him, and then with this baby I started to exclusively pump, and then I switched over to only breast. So I am here to share all of my tips with you guys. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Alrighty guys, so for the first tip, I know it's gonna sound super taboo, you know, like everyone says that, but it's true. Hydration and eating an adequate amount of nutrition every day is key to being able to feed another human. Honestly, how do you expect to feed another human if you're not even feeding yourself? You have to feed yourself. So sorry, I'm looking at my phone. I made like a little list of things so I don't forget. So for me, honestly, meal prepping was the biggest helpers when I had my first child, because he was born a preemie, so I would often forget to eat because I would spend so much time at the NICU. I would forget to eat. So meal prepping was an essential part of my breastfeeding journey with him, because I was able to have enough nutrition in each meal without honestly putting too much thought into it. And also hydration is, I think, probably the #1 key to breastfeeding. You're honestly making liquid for another human, so you can't really make liquid for another human if you are not having enough liquid yourself. This is Kay, by the way, you guys, my super juicy 6-month-old baby. He is laying across my lap, so if you see a baby moving, that's what that is. So yeah, so a couple of tips about hydration. If you are not a big water drinker, that is okay. For me personally, I love water. However, I know people who will get like a gallon of water and then put flavor drops or Crystal Light packages or something into it, and then drink that throughout the day, so that you still are getting an adequate amount of water. It's just flavored water. Also, something that really helped me, I know a lot of people probably have heard about it, but the body armor drinks. I heard about the body armor drinks from a NICU nurse when my son was in the NICU, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. I tried it, and I tried it at nighttime, and then when I woke up for like my 3 a.m. pump, I was super engorged, and I hadn't been engorged in forever, and so I continuously kept drinking them, and they became a staple piece in my breastfeeding journey for my first and second baby. Also, something that helped me with the body armor, also mixing in coconut water with the body armor. I know body armor already has coconut water in it, and a lot of people will drink coconut water just by itself to help boost hydration and help with supply. But I found that if you just do like half coconut water and then half body armor, and you mix that up and drink it, it helped me produce more. I don't know if it's placebo effect, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's just because I was more hydrated. So I was able to get probably like a ½ an ounce more from each breast, which equated to a whole new ounce that I wasn't getting before, so I'll take it. So my next biggest thing here is going to be to stay on schedule. I know it's really hard, especially having a new baby, as is you want to sleep when the baby sleeps, but if you are exclusively pumping, you do not want to miss your pump sessions. So as previously stated, I had a preemie, my first child, so he was in the NICU for a month. So basically I would pump every 2 to 3 hours throughout the day, and then at nighttime I would pump every 4 to 5 hours. I never went longer than 5 hours. I'm not gonna say I never did. I didn't purposely go over 5 hours. If I overslept past my alarm, I would wake up at like 6 hours, 6.5 hours, and be super engorged, which caused me to have mastitis on multiple occasions. So I don't really recommend doing that, but that's that. Please stay on your schedule. Don't miss your pump sessions. When you remove milk every 2 to 3 hours, that's telling your body, okay, the baby is eating every 2 to 3 hours, so every 2 to 3 hours I need to have another meal ready for the baby. So you have to remove milk to make milk. You have to move milk to make milk. So remember that when you just feel discouraged, I have to move milk to make milk. Also, that goes for if you're trying to relactate as well. Don't miss your pumps. Stay on your schedule every 2 to 3 hours. I know getting up in the middle of the night is hard to pump milk, but trust me, in the long run, those 30-minute pump sessions will pay off. You don't even have to do a full 30 minutes. I personally have always done full 30 minutes because for some reason my first letdown is really hard, and then after that it's very slow. So full 30 minutes just to make sure I'm all the way empty helps me. Also, pumping to empty. This goes for my moms who are not exclusively pumping but who are feeding baby on demand on the breast. So with my first son, I only exclusively pumped. He was not interested in breastfeeding at all. He was born at 31 weeks, so when it was time for him to actually eat, he was already introduced to a bottle and a pacifier, so he didn't have any interest in my nipples. So he was exclusively bottle fed. But this also goes for babies who are just put on the breast and nursed on demand. If you don't feel like your baby has completely emptied your breast, especially in those first couple of weeks, definitely pump. One of my biggest mistakes, not gonna say it was a mistake because I didn't really have a choice, but one of the biggest issues with my first lactation journey was I started pumping as soon as I gave birth because I couldn't have that one-on-one mom to baby time because my son was born premature and it was really traumatic and he had to go. So immediately I had to start pumping if I wanted to make milk for him. So once you start pumping, especially in those early postpartum weeks, sometimes you will create an oversupply, which I did. So on average, some days I would literally get 50 to 60 ounces, and I created a huge oversupply. And then I got mastitis multiple times from having an oversupply. And then gradually, as my son and he came home, my body was able to regulate, and I was able to have a regular supply of like 28 to 32 ounces a day. Definitely a big break from the huge amount that I was making. A lot of people think that having an oversupply is good. I mean, in some ways it's good, but for me personally, it was not. So if you want to avoid creating a potential oversupply, definitely avoid your pump in those first few weeks. So the next tip I have is to power pump. Power pumping can be a pain in the butt, I know. Adding an extra 10 minutes on the pump, 10-minute rest, 10 minutes on the pump, 10-minute rest was kind of my schedule to power pump and create more milk. There's a lot of schedules. Only thing you have to do is just Google power pump schedules or look on Pinterest. You'll see all kind of different schedules, and you just kind of have to play around with some of them and see what works best for you. But for me personally, 10 minutes pumping, 10-minute rest, 10 minutes pumping, 10-minute rest. I would literally sit on my pump for like an hour and do 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off. I was obsessed with breastfeeding, which brings me to my next thing. Do not let breastfeeding defeat you. Like, breast size does not equate to breast milk output. So I would think that because before I had my first child, I had a relatively small bust. I was like a B cup, so I thought because I had small boobs that I would not be able to adequately make enough milk to feed my child. And I'm so glad that I was able to have those lactation consultants kind of tell me that it's not how breastfeeding works. Breast size does not equate to breast output. My next thing would be, sorry, I'm looking at my list, oatmeal. So oatmeal has been proven to help people pick up their supply, and it can also be very useful if you're trying to relactate. Oatmeal, I am not a big oatmeal eater, so when I was eating oatmeal, I honestly had to make it super sweet. Oatmeal, and I would also add oat milk into the oatmeal, and I would do this. I did it I think for like a week, and then I started like seeing like a better supply after that, because like I said, after my son came home, my supply did like dwindle down to like a normal supply. But I was freaking out in my mind. I missed my oversupply, so I was trying to go back to that for some reason. But anyways, oatmeal and things like oatmeal cookies, there's oatmeal lactation cookies, there's oat milk, like I said, there is all kind of stuff. Basically, you can just do a quick Google search. Google is your friend in this instant. Do a quick Google search or Amazon, and just Google lactation snacks or lactation supplements, which brings me to my next item. So with my first son, I was just doing random lactation supplements from Amazon, and I ended up getting Fernigeek. I think that's how you say it, Fernigeek, whatever. Some people have a really positive outcome with Fernigeek. Some people have a really negative outcome with Fernigeek. I was one of those people who had a really negative outcome with it. It basically dried me up. I was about 6 months postpartum. My son was about 6 months. I came across a lactation supplement that had it in it, so I started taking it, and my supply, I was not making anything, like probably 12 ounces for a whole day, so not even enough to feed my son. So that's when I started research, and I found out that Fernigeek can either help you or hurt you. So if you're going to try supplements, I suggest trying supplements without it, just for the simple fact that we're already in the middle of a formula shortage. We don't have time to lose no milk, which brings me to the supplements. This brand is called, sorry guys, I have my baby, so I'm trying to multitask. This brand is called Legendary Milk. So I'm gonna show you guys. It's called Legendary Milk. So Legendary Milk, I came across this brand in Target one day after my current little baby. Originally I was pumping, and because he had to go to the NICU, he got sick. That's a whole nother story. He got sick and I had to start pumping, so I started taking lactation supplements, and I ended up getting a subscription with Legendary Milk. So best for me would be the Milk Palooza, which is the blue label bottle. All of these are Fernigeek free. The Milk Palooza worked, and then after I tried the Milk Palooza, I started this one, which is Pump Princess. Pump Princess and Milk Palooza both gave me the same effect. I had a little bit quicker turnaround with Pump Princess. I think I started seeing a difference in my supply in like 24 hours versus Milk Palooza. It took like more like 48 to 72 hours. But with both supplements, I ended up getting a whole combined 3 extra ounces. So from like an ounce and a half from this breast and an extra ounce and a half from this breast. So I ended up getting about 3 extra ounces with using these supplements. And when you go on their website to try one product for 7 to 10 days and see if it helps you, and then if you find that there are 2 products that help you, you can try to combine those products, which I did. I ended up combining Milk Palooza and Pump Princess the last time that I purchased the pills, and honestly I really didn't see like an extra increase. I was still getting like this about the same amount, like the same 3 extra ounces, which was completely fine with me. So those 2 are the holy grail for me. The other one that I tried was this one right here. Okay, yeah, it's called Liquid Gold. So with this one, honestly, I did not see a change at all. I didn't see any kind of change. There was no decrease, there was no increase, and they smell super bad. So what works for some people might not work for another person, but definitely they're worth a try. They are, I think the bottles are $20 a bottle, but I mean on their website they have like subscriptions that you can do, and you can try different products in bulk so that it's a little bit cheaper. Yeah, definitely check their website out. I'm going to put their website name right here, so go and check them out. So another thing, after my baby came back, this baby right here, this is Cade, after he came back home to me after he had to go into the NICU for a week, I wanted to start back strictly latching him on. I did not want to pump because pumping was too time consuming for me, considering I already had a toddler. So something that I learned was that sometimes your body will stop responding to a pump. So I have the elvie stride pump, which I'm going to give you guys a little review on that in just a second. And originally it was working very well, and then I all of a sudden would like pump for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and I wouldn't even get an ounce out of either breast. I would get drops, but my boobs would still be super full with milk. So I thought maybe I needed to replace my pump part, and then once that didn't work, I was like, okay, maybe I just need to replace my pump. So I ended up replacing it with the Medela Freestyle pump, and it was still the same. Like, I still wasn't getting anything out, but my breasts were still super full. So my body basically just stopped responding to a pump. So I just strictly started latching him. He was having a little bit of issue, like he didn't have a lip tie or anything, or tongue tie, whatever it's called. He didn't have that. He just kind of had nipple confusion because he was using a bottle and using me and then using a pacifier, and there was a little bit of nipple confusion. So I used a nipple shield, and within like 3 days we no longer needed our nipple shield, and he is still strictly breastfed on demand to this day. So yeah, definitely if you notice that your breasts are full and you're not getting anything out of when you're pumping, please know that sometimes your body might stop responding to a pump. Also, if that happens and you don't, if you're not responding and your baby won't latch, hand express. Hand expressing for me is more efficient than any pump that I've ever tried. I've had the Medela, I've had the Spectra, I've had the Mom Cozy, and the elvie stride. Hand expressing to me is more effective and efficient than any of those pumps, in my opinion. Hand expressing, what I really like to do, my favorite position is basically like getting a position like a push-up, and then kind of like get on my like hands and knees. So kind of like on your, how do I explain it? Get on your knees, but like, okay, like this, okay, with your boobs basically hanging to the floor, hanging, because nursing moms, be for real, our boobs are hanging. With your boobs hanging to the floor, and then just kind of massage the milk out, starting from the back of the boob all the way up to the front, and then I like give my nipple a squeeze, starting from the back of the boob all the way to the front, give it a squeeze, from the back of the boob to the front, give it a squeeze. And honestly, I could do that and I can be done 5 minutes on each breast, and I could have 8-10 ounces in front of me. But if I get on a pump for 40 minutes, I'll have nothing. So definitely, if you're not getting anything out of your pump and your baby does not know how to latch, definitely try hand express. Okay, so now that we have covered all the bases on all the tips that I have to give to you guys for how to increase your milk supply or help with your relactation journey, I also just want to say, do not compare. I know if you're like in those breastfeeding groups and stuff on Facebook, you'll see people post like they're oversupplied. They'll literally have a jug full of milk, and then there's you over here with 4 ounces per pump. Know that your 4 ounces is normal. That's normal. Oversupply is, like I said, it's not a good thing. It's not the best thing to have, because you can get mastitis and a million other things. Don't compare. If you've never heard the phrase that comparison is the thief of all joy, know that it definitely applies to breastfeeding. Do not compare, because your body makes exactly what your baby needs. Also, another thing that I want to say, do not compare your breastfed baby to another person's breastfed baby in terms of size. When Kay was born, he was only 5 pounds 11 ounces, and for a while he was on the like, what's the matter, on the slim baby side. And if you can look at him now, he's fairly chunky, but even now he's not like the chunkiest 6-month little boy that I've ever seen. So do not compare your baby and your journey to anyone else's, because your journey is unique to you and your baby. So don't do that. So now we can talk about the elvie stride and give you guys a little review on it. I was gonna go and grab it, but as you can tell, I had to nurse the baby. I guess he's getting hungry, so I got my elvie stride through my insurance. At the time, he was born in November, so I got my pump in like September. So at the time, there was literally one YouTube review about the elvie stride because it's a new pump that just hit the market last year, so not a lot of people had the pump at the time. So I took a risk on it because I was like, I could either pay $500 for the regular elvie or Willow, or I could just try this one as a free insurance upgrade. So I got it, and first, like I said, it was great. I loved it. It was great until it kind of wasn't. I will say overall efficiency for me, I'm gonna give it an 8 because for a while before my body stopped responding to the pump, it worked great. Like it would completely empty me and everything. But I will say that the little hub that goes on it is fairly bulky, and it's not the most quietest thing. Like, I took my baby to a lot of doctor's appointments and stuff like that while I was pumping, and because I was pumping because I was scared to nurse in public, so I would pump. So, and people would be like looking around, like trying to figure out what that noise was, because the hub is fairly loud. It's like bzz, 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 bzz. I wish that I could go grab my hub so that you guys could hear it. So honestly, it's not the most quiet thing, but if you're a nursing mom on the go, it'll be good, you know, to like nurse in the car, or nurse maybe like if you are a teacher, nurse during your planning period or something like that. It's really discreet. It's just the little hub is super loud. So yeah, I would give the elvie stride an 8 out of 10. And yeah, so those are kind of like all of my tips that I have to share with you guys. I have become really passionate about breastfeeding, especially during this formula shortage. So I hope that my tips help a mom in need who is stressing about this formula shortage and who wants to make milk for her baby. I hope my tips help. And if you guys have any more tips, of course, leave them in the comments for moms who might be watching who could use other tips besides the ones that I gave. And yeah, as always, if you guys like this video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.